Notice a lot of things about their kids, but have you ever stopped to take a closer look at how your children breathe? Well, our next guest says it's a good idea to notice something as routine as breathing, and it might end up helping your child's development and possibly prevent future problems like the need for braces.
How about
which surprises me.
That is surprising, but amazing. Dr. Madan Kandula is a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist with Advent, and he is here with more on the types of problems you should be watching out for. Nice to have you.
Yeah,
Nice
good
to be
see
here.
you again.
Great topic, I think, for parents. So first, what is the problem we should be watching out for?
It's pretty simple. For kids not breathing through their nose.
Okay,
For
mouth
a reason.
breathers.
Mouth breathing. So, and there are some kids who just, some kids, most kids, if they get a cold, they're not going to be able to breathe through their nose. That's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Fair amount of kids can't breathe through the nose because there's something anatomic going on. So either they're just plugged up, and they're plugged up consistently, and you kind of get used to seeing Johnny or Jill with their mouth hanging open, and that's just their look, and it just keeps going.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What does it look like? Obviously, their mouth's going to be open more than not. So they're probably always sleeping with their mouth open too.
Exactly, sleeping with their mouth open. During the day, just kind of hanging out with their mouth just hanging open, and again, it's not if that's not their look, and they get that look, and it's kind of a little strange. But if that's just what you're used to seeing them look like, then they kind of they get used to everybody around them gets used to it.
I did a little research online, and I put in mouth breather, and there was a picture of President Barack Obama, and they said mouth breather, and it was a picture of him with his mouth open. So I don't know if he is or not, but there's a lot of information about mouth breathers and the problems that it causes.
Yeah, well, and you said that parents typically notice this more than a doctor would.
Yeah.
Obviously because they're around the child more. And I said my brother was one, when he would eat cereal, he would and he breathed through his mouth. And you could hear it. It was a little annoying to us as siblings.
It's one of those things where it's a fairly common issue. It can create some very serious issues, but a lot of times this gets kind of swept under the rug. When you're going in to see your pediatrician, your family doc with your child, it's certainly not at the top of the list. It's probably not even on the list. And so it's one of those things where lots of parents kind of may think that something's not quite right, but they don't know what do we do about it? What's the next step to kind of get things checked out? And is it important to get it checked out? And it absolutely is.
And is it an absolute that mouth breathing will lead to eventual health problems and possibly developmental problems for kids?
If somebody is a chronic mouth breather as they're growing, it's absolutely going to affect their facial growth and the growth of their teeth, those sorts of things.
Their facial growth?
Sure, absolutely. So they're going to be, when you're born, you've got your genetic program, and if things go, nicely, that's what you're going to kind of get played out. If you're mouth breathing, your mouth is open, it's a really simple concept. If your mouth is shut, your tongue is sticking to the top of your roof, or the roof of your mouth, holding your teeth apart and holding the roof of your mouth in place, and everything forms around that. If your mouth is open, tongue falls down, there's nothing really kind of elevating that palate anymore, and things take off on their own. They grow around the issue. Now, sometimes that issue can fade away, but once they're grown, and that issue is in place. Lots and lots and lots of kids who end up needing braces, started out on that journey because they couldn't breathe through their nose and their mouth breathers, and eventually, it's on the back end of things that, their permanent teeth come in and they're not right, and they're not right because they were mouth breathing, but then it's too late. I mean, then you've got to go with the braces, and even that, that can correct the teeth, that's nice, but it really doesn't correct the facial deformities that happen with that.
Wow.
And so they're going to look different than they're supposed to look just because they can't breathe through their nose.
And you said there's an interesting comparison between the way a tree uses sunlight and the way a child breathes.
The simple concept, a tree, if it's growing out in open sunlight, it's going to grow straight, to the noonday sun. If there's a tree if there's a building next to it and it only gets the sun from the west, it's going to grow in that direction. If that building goes away, it's not going to magically straighten itself out. It's going to always be pointing the wrong way. And if you look at that tree and you think, well, that looks funny, if you've never seen it up against that house, same thing. So if a child is growing, once their facial development gets to where it's going to be, it's done, there's really no going back at that point. Aside from very major facial surgery, which is not a real common thing.
I'm thinking nasal obstruction clearly is an anatomical problem that would lead to mouth breathing. Are there other issues? Like I'm thinking of allergies, for example.
Yeah, allergies can be in play, but it's usually not so much in play. I mean, typically allergies can kind of, sort of ebb and flow to some extent. That certainly is on the list. The most common thing that would be out there would be enlarged adenoids. Adenoids are tissue that form the back of the nose. They're out of view. So, when you go in the doctor's office, unless they've got a camera like we do to look back there, or x-rays, things like that, nobody's going to see that. You've got to be looking for it, and you've got to be really kind of paying attention and asking the right questions to figure out if something like that's going on, because like I said, a lot of times it just sort of gets swept under the rug.
So you've probably got a lot of parents interested, thinking, okay, my child does this, or someone I know does this, and this is something you dealt with personally as well. What are the tests that can lead to a solution for this problem?
The first thing is getting it checked out, and what I would do to get it checked out would be to get in with an ear, nose, and throat physician to have them take a peek. I mean, that's the bare bones of it, because short of that, any other type of doctor, even the pediatrician, they're really limited as far as the tools that they have to look at this. But yeah, that's the bottom line, and it can make a night and day difference as far as kids go.
It's great, and what people can do is call Advent right now. Your office is located on Mayfair Road, not only to get it tested, but also look at possible solutions. Again, that's on North Mayfair Road. The phone number 414-771-6780. The web address for more information is advent.md. Nice to have you. Good information.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.